Welcome to Roadie Wellness, where we explore all things health and self-care. Whether you're seeking mental clarity, physical fitness, or insight from students like you, we've got you covered. So welcome back to the Roadie Wellness podcast. I am Olivia, and I'm here with Mike today, a non-traditional student who's going to be sharing his experience about going back to college and what that's like. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So can you tell the listeners what makes you considered a non-traditional student?
So there's a couple of different ways. Number one, I'm significantly older than most of you, and I have a wife and kids. I have a lot more life experience between my time in the military and my time employed before I came back to college, so there's a lot more of a dimensional feel for me.
So this is your second time coming back to college, correct?
Yes.
So what made you leave and then want to come back?
The first time I went to college, I didn't do enough research before I decided what college I wanted to go to, and I went to New England Tech, and I got an associate's degree in plumbing, heating, and pipe fitting, and I couldn't use it. I ended up getting a job as a pipe fitter, working for Electric Boat, building submarines, but it really didn't work out. I had just gotten back from overseas when I started school, so that coupled with the fact that my daughter was just born, my first daughter. So looking back now, I probably should have started at a state college because it would have been free, but this is why we do research before we make decisions.
Yeah, and sometimes it can just be hard. You don't know what you don't know, you know? And yeah, I think that's one of the purposes of this podcast is to just help people get more information and more resources and experience out there and share stories. So from that break in between the first time you went to college and now being back, what was that break like for you, and what made you want to come back to college?
So I've struggled a little bit, mental health-wise, from my time in the military. So taking direction from positions of authority was kind of an issue for me during that gap in time. And it was pointed out to me that there are programs through the VA, specifically vocational rehab, where they'll help me get into school, they'll help me with all the materials, and kind of set a different trajectory for my career. And in doing that, I kind of transitioned more from technical hands-on to more of a support degree in human development and family science.
So through that VA vocational mentorship or support, that's where you found a lot more of that information that, would you say you lacked kind of that first time?
Lacked, or kind of didn't feel like I had the time to look at that point in time. Like I said, my now ex-wife had just had our first child. So it was I felt kind of like I needed to get into something as quickly as possible. And everybody was telling me about trade schools and hands-on stuff. And that's kind of how I made that decision.
Yeah, it can be a privilege at times to be able to have the opportunity to explore and learn things. So now being at college with all of your life experience and being in a really unique position, what are some things that you now bring to the college experience that you think younger students don't?
So there's a different mentality. For me, it's not just I have classes today and then I'm going to go back to the dorm room and then I'm going to get something to eat and maybe I'll do some homework later. It's kind of more, I have these classes today, and then I have to go and pick up my kids, and I have to bring them to karate, and then I have to bring them home, and then we have to make dinner and get them ready for bed, and then somewhere in all of this find time to spend time with my wife and, take the dog out, feed the cats, all these other responsibilities that I have outside of school. So it's different. It's a lot different as far as free time. And for me, it's more of practical application of some of the knowledge that I've gained.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what I'm getting out of it on the education side. I kind of feel like it's worth it. And like my life experience with the material that's being taught in this current degree path that I'm on, it fits.
Would you say that like your military experience also influenced how you approach education?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a different level of discipline. I love to game. I love playing video games. But that mentality that I've gotten from the military is like, I can't do the fun stuff until I do the school stuff. And I'm kind of trying to use that as a lead by example for my kids too. Mm. Because in a society where everything is electronic, everything is digital, everything is about gaming, it's like, okay, you can do that, but you need to make sure that you handle your stuff first.
Yeah, I feel like society really does promote the quick fix almost. Like, oh, I want a game, so I'm going to game now, and then I'll put off, like, my work later. As college students, that's a very easy rabbit hole to fall down, is procrastination. So that discipline must definitely come in handy in being that example to show, like, your kids, like, this is how you can approach work and responsibility is really important. Can you share like a specific moment where these differences and strengths that you have because of your experience has helped you in your day-to-day life as a student?
Absolutely. There's one that comes to mind first and foremost is the ability to adapt and overcome. When I first applied to URI, I applied to be an engineer. I really enjoyed the mechanical work and building and making stuff with my hands, but that's not really where my heart was. So after a couple of semesters of failing and failing hard, one of the classes that I took required a Myers-Briggs personality test and a Holland's personality test and the type focus and things like that. And I realized real fast that like engineering is not where somebody like me should be, because I thrive too much on human interaction and like I want to help people. So it's like that adaptation to kind of point and pivot and move to a different trajectory kind of really highlighted that military skill right there.
Definitely, and like being able to use that to now switch your degree to something that will eventually help people in the military and veterans. So now pivoting a little bit, we're going to talk about like your experience being a non-traditional student in the classroom. So when you first came to college, what was your experience like being with younger students and like more traditional students?
It's actually kind of funny. There have been a few times where I kind of caught myself curtailing towards being a younger version of myself again. But there's never been a time since I started here that I felt out of place. I make jokes in the classroom when we talk about things that have happened in the past, and it's like, y'all weren't even born then. I was in high school when that happened, like specifically 9/11. We're talking about things like that, and it's like I was in my 9th grade history class when that happened. A lot of my classmates were just born or only a couple years old at most. So it's like kind of making light of those situations and kind of laughing it off, but not once have I really felt out of place.
Would you say that it's because of like the major that you're in with social work versus engineering?
Part of my comfortability is the fact that even some of my instructors are around the same age that I am. Even when I was in the engineering path, when I was in my chemistry class, the teacher wasn't much older than me, if he was older than me. So it kind of helped me feel a little more comfortable with the situation, because it was like, oh, he's closer to peer age, but these are my actual peers. I can make this work.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that the school has a lot of support for like non-traditional students?
Absolutely. But there's a caveat to that. the support is there if you ask for it when you first need it. If you're in the 13th hour of an assignment that's due tomorrow and you've had all semester to work on it and you ask for an extension, it's going to be a little bit different than like a week before being like, hey, life happened. Specifically for me, there's always some sort of extenuating circumstance with kids being sick, or like right now my wife is pregnant, so like I have doctor's appointments that I have to go to with her. I've never missed a prenatal appointment that I've been in the country for. So like if there's something that is either due on that day or something along those lines, I typically have an advance notice and I can tell the teachers, hey, look, this is what I have going on. Is there a way that we can flex one way or the other? But it's only there if you utilize it properly.
Yeah, so it sounds like they're very accommodating, like all the resources and professors, which is great. And yeah, it makes sense. It's like as long as you do your due diligence to communicate, it's all communication. Yeah, so you mentioned like your wife is currently pregnant and like you have children and you're a husband. So how is that dealing with family life, balancing with also student life?
I couldn't do any of this if it wasn't for my wife. She, first of all, holds me just as accountable as anybody else will. If I complain about something that I blatantly did, I know that I was in the wrong, she'll reel me back in and be like, so how can we do this better next time? And it's like, you know what? You're right. But like her support and like the way that we've kind of had to pivot things in certain times to make things work. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. And if it wasn't for my kids, none of this would be worth it. The whole point of this is to make not only my life better, but prioritizing making their lives better.
It sounds like a lot of teamwork is used to like really make it work. It sounds like you have a lot of support and like give a lot of support, which is crucial.
It absolutely takes a village. And if my in-laws didn't live right next door, I think it'd be even harder.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story today and just sharing what it's like to be a non-traditional student at URI. What is one lasting piece of advice that you'd give someone who would be like a non-traditional student or maybe like a veteran coming to college or raising kids and wanting to go back to school?
Communication. If you are married or there is some sort of commitment in your life, no matter who it is, whether it's your kids, your partner, your spouse, husband, wife, whatever, communicate and make sure that what you're doing aligns with the end game for everybody involved. And that's the biggest thing. It's like talk, because if you don't, nobody knows.
Before we wrap up, a quick reminder that all information shared in today's podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Thank you for listening to another episode of Roadie Wellness. If you like what you heard today, tune in every Tuesday on all podcast platforms for more. If you want to stay up to date on events and healthcare tips, please follow us at URI Health Promotions on Instagram. And if you have any ideas for future podcast episodes or more social media content that you'd like to see, please feel free to DM us or email us. Until next time, take care and stay healthy.